They wore purple suits like royalty, walked Harlem like kings, and when it came to fighting, they didn't throw punches, they threw statements. But where did these stylish street legends come from? Were they dancers? Were they killers? Or were they something much, much deeper? This is the untold story of the Boppers. They walk like royalty, dress like swing kings, and move like Harlem ghosts dipped in jazz. But under those purple threads and smooth moves lies something far colder. They weren't just dancers, they weren't just stylists, they were the Boppers, and their origin is more brutal and brilliant than you've ever heard. 1969, Harlem. A group of teenage dancers forms a crew called the Harlem Bop Kings. Their leader? A 16-year-old dancer named Jackie Duke Mays, known for his jazz footwork and soft shoe shuffle. They perform at block parties, uptown lounges, and train platforms, mixing tap, jive, and Latin rhythm with street-edge flair. 1971. After getting harassed repeatedly by both cops and small-time gangster, shaking down performance spaces, the Bop Kings take matters into their own hands. They start carrying razors and blackjacks. The first incident happens behind the Lenox Avenue Ballroom. A slashed coat, a broken jaw. 1972 to 1974, their transformation begins. They ditch the name Bop Kings and become the Boppers. An homage to bebop, but with a menace in the name. No longer just dancers, they're enforcers with rhythm. Why the zoot suits? Two reasons: power and nostalgia. They weren't just about style. The long coats, wide lapels, and flamboyant hats symbolized defiance. A callback to Black and Latino youth resisting oppression during the zoot suit riots of the 40s. But for the Boppers, the suits served a modern purpose. They masked weapons, confused enemies, and projected control. The fedora meant leadership. Only made men wore it. Initiates had to earn the brim. To outsiders, they looked like performers. But inside the gang world, it was psychological warfare. Their style suggested they didn't need to fight. Truth, they could and would in silence and pinstripes. How they were perceived. The rogues called them peacocks. The Turnbull ACs didn't take them seriously until they lost a turf bet in 1976. The Riffs saw them as flashy but useful, style with substance. Harlem was their home. From 110th to 145th, they ran everything. After-hours jazz joints, protection for artists, tap dancers, and record store owners. Fixers for stolen goods, and especially luxury fabric and vinyl. They didn't sell drugs, not out of morality, out of optics. Drugs messed up the suit game. No cracked-out zoot wearers. They were known for cutting deals with theater owners and old-school hustlers. If you wanted peace on your corner, you paid a bopper. They were hustlers, not thugs. More like CEOs with rhythm and razor smiles. The leader, Jackie Duke Mays. By 1978, Duke was 25, a street scholar who studied Cagney movies like war manuals and quoted jazz lyrics like scripture. He didn't fight unless it was poetic, and when he did, it ended quickly. Duke's rules. Never fight dirty if you can win clean. If you lose your hat, you lose your honor. We walk in rhythm, we strike in silence. He wasn't the biggest, but he was the sharpest. The kind of leader who wore gloves, even when he wasn't cold. The code, all Boppers had to memorize the Count Basie Creed, a 12-line oath of loyalty and rhythm. No speaking to outsiders unless in metaphor. You had to defeat a Bopper in a dance battle or chess game to earn your first suit. Recruitment. Talent scouts watched subway dancers and tap crews for discipline under flair. The best were approached quietly. A tailor would visit you the next day. If you accepted the custom zoot suit, you were in. Alliances and rivalries. The Riffs. The Boppers were considered valuable satellites, not fully in the inner circle, but Duke was invited to Cyrus's summit. The hi-hats, artistic cousins. Tension existed, though. Too many overlapping turf events in 1978 led to a near war over performance rights. The Rogues, disdainful of the Boppers. One infamous fight in 1977 over a Harlem theater job left a Rogue with a slashed face. He still wears a scarf. The meeting with Cyrus. Yes, the Boppers were there. They arrived late but impeccably dressed. Three-piece suits, feathered fedoras, gloves. They respected Cyrus's message. But Duke whispered afterward, "One voice rules the city, so what happens when it's silenced?" Why they stood out. In a sea of leather vests, face paint, and chains. The Boppers were a visual contradiction. They were elegance in a savage city, flash with fangs. Their aesthetic was partly inspired by the Harlem Renaissance jazz-era mobsters, zoot suit riots of the 1940s, blaxploitation icons like Dolomite and Superfly. Walter Hill once said in interviews, "The Boppers were myth. That's the point. You don't mess with men who dress that clean unless you're sure you'll win." What if the Boppers fought the Warriors? It would have been style versus grit. Word is, Ajax once called them tap-dancing phonies, but even he didn't challenge Duke. The real answer? If they had fought, there'd be more blood on velvet than Coney Island could wash off. What happened after the movie? Rumors say they faded out as the crack era shattered Harlem. Others say Duke went legit, opened a jazz bar on 125th, and still runs a quiet crew called the Purple Circle. Could they survive today? Not as a gang, but as a brand? Absolutely. Purple suit drops, Harlem fashion walks, TikTok kids doing the Bopper shuffle. Legacy doesn't die, it just remixes. Swagger, strategy, survival. The Boppers weren't just a gang, they were a legacy in motion. Did they live on after the night Cyrus died? Or did Harlem's kings vanish with the beat? Let me know what you think. Could the Boppers have taken down the Warriors? Was Duke the realest boss in all of New York? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button if the Boppers style still hits hard, and subscribe to Real Reels for the next deep dive into the most mysterious gangs of the Warriors universe. Because we're not just telling stories, we're preserving the myth. Can you dig it?